y'all to just stand up here. Come on, staff. Come up here real quick, volunteers. Come on, Tom. Don't y'all just sit there. Come on, Alan. Come on. Come on up here. Everybody, come up here. Come up here. Come on up here. I want you up here. I don't want you down there. Come on. Come on. Come on. I want you to see something. I want you to see something. Come on. Come on. Come on. Hurry. That's right. Come on. Come on. That's right. Come on. Right. Hurry up. Come on. Come on. That's right. Now I want you to know that only about 4 of these people up here get paid. Everybody else volunteers. You know, this is what we have. And I want to thank you. Thank you so very much. The good food you've been eating, this is the main chef here, and this is the person who's over the program, right here. Lawson. And then Dave. Dave is Deputy Director at Glide. Dave right here is incredible. Alan White back there is our media coordinator. Hold up your hands, counselors, just the counselors. Hold up your hands. These are drug counselors, Vicki Lee is over our business office. Lena Sullivan does all of the production for scripts and things like that. She works with Jan. Lena Sullivan now. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I don't want to call anybody else's name. May I present to you now who's going to make an introduction. I'm going to present to you my wife. I don't know what to say about Jan.
But you can say
because she is so much to me and to Glide and to so many people, except the fact that she is intelligent, she's a writer, a poet, a choreographer. She is the president of the corporation at Glide and directs all the programs. She tells me what to do, and I do it sometimes. She is a visionary, but most of all, she is my friend, and I am her husband. Janice Mirikitana.
I just want to tell you how proud I am to be part of this huge movement, and I'm so grateful to be with you and for you to be with us as we together fight this horrible disease called crack addiction. And I'm so proud to be in the presence of my mentor and my inspiration, Maya Angelou, and I am so proud to be married to this great leader who cares and loves so very much that he gives everything he has to his people, to all people. The writer holds up a light to history, to the truth of our past and our present. A writer can snatch us up out of the annihilation of apathy and self-loathing. A writer resists those forces of racism and attempts at cultural genocide and dehumanization. The writer, the poet, lifts us up and makes our souls dance. And we have the greatest soul movers with us here today. It is my privilege to introduce one, my brother, compassionate worker for human and civil rights, a giver and a member a giver to and a member of the Glide family, son of Dr. Maya Angelou, father of Colin Ashanti Murphy Johnson, author of In the Wild Shadows, poet and writer Guy Johnson.
While she was making that introduction, I was wondering who she was talking about. But when she got to the son aspect, I was very appreciative of that. A few words. Sometimes people ask me, well, isn't it difficult to be Maya Angelou's son? I mean, aren't you standing in her shadow? And the truth is, she casts a lot of light. And if you have the good fortune to have your eyes open, there's a path clear for you. And there certainly was a path clear for me. Now, she's getting some slight revenge because my son is an adolescent. And he's doing his best to challenge me on every issue that we can discuss. My mother asked me to read this poem. It's called Words. I have lived in a land where words, spent like coins, purchased a practiced effect, painting pictures with platitudes. I've been in and through the cement monsters that run 100 surfaces into the air, commuted with the young execs, soft-handed men with ticking minds and ascendancy in their eyes, words used in shadow-boxing parodies, words that wrap and vacuum-pack deception, words that suck your blood from a distance rather than carrying at the throat with teeth you can see. These men, who have forgotten humanity, who speak of guns as commodities, are they lost? The history books will say they were great, for these men will rewrite history with donations and grants. I've lived in the hives of the dispossessed. I've known the drug-darkened streets of the ghetto, where the weak nightly banish themselves into the land of Nod, and where the strong are at best not weak. Words growled in the rhythm of hunger, bitter words for the years of hatred and the nights of fear, words strong with new meanings after 4 centuries of being a second language to a people who had no other language. These men who were forgotten, whose horizons were defined by oppression, are they lost? If these men rewrite history, if these women rewrite history, they will use blood for ink. I have walked in and through the netherland of bars and alleys, watched red-eyed Joes hand advice over a glass of liquid soul, in retreat from another life, another self, words mumbled and muttered in the iambic pentameter of self-pity, worn-out words too tired even to be dreams, words battered and bruised by subjective definition and then offered up as camouflage for human frailty. These men who have forgotten their own humanity in temporary chemical absolution, are they lost? History at best will acknowledge the notoriety of their pains and will subject them to the sneaky sainthood of the great society. Words fall like rain, cutting, slashing, rending, building, inflating, finessing, exercising the tongue with a jumble of syllables and sculpting the mind with an unseen blade. There is no escape. Words the mortar of dreams and the building blocks of thoughts.
You to do that one to lead into that one.
Could you turn up the microphone, please?
Please just be prepared.
Please.
You have to.
Yes. My mother has asked that I do something else, so one yields. And actually, this is one of the few times I like nepotism. This poem is called Lady Day. She found herself, wisps of smoke rising and swirling over a sea of silhouettes, a child of sporting houses and honky-tonks. Tanned by rough hands and blind words, she escaped into Bessie Smith, a sad, cakewalking music with a pelvic swing, good for the dim lights and the morning sadness. She had stories to tell, of quick laughter and lingering pain. She sold herself, soaring on crackling air to tinkerers and tradesmen, night travelers and strangers, to the sad and uncertain, to all who came to lose themselves in her blues rhapsody of passions lost and youth misspent, of weak will and weaker intent. Her music flowed in the main streams of jazz. She stretched and twisted notes as she glided over bridges of melody. She played among the brass and the reeds like a ribbon of sweet contralto in the wind. But she lost herself in the moods and shadows cast under streetlight, in the tiny gathering footsteps of a million faded dreams. She was drained and cheated by a world that made her invisible, then stole her music. Still she knew greatness, for she sang as if the core within burned forever. Thank you.
I'm glad we're on the dessert now.
Yeah, me too.
Y'all go right ahead and swallow your dessert. Eat your dessert. I want to bring up to the podium now a friend of jazz, a friend of mine. He's the son of the man who just got through reading. Colin. Come here. Come here, Colin. Colin Johnson, come here. You didn't know we were going to do this for you. But I'm going to give you something. Jan and I and the Glide community and family would like to share with you also this certificate of compassion for people who are in recovery from crack cocaine. And there is a medallion there for you to wear around your neck, Colin. Okay? Thank you very much, man. Thank you. Now, what we're going to do is you eat your dessert. We'll eat your dessert real quick, because I'm going to bring the main speaker up in just a minute. I'm going to give you a chance to just finish your dessert. And then I'm going to ask them, yeah, hurry waiters, waitresses, because we're going to stop as soon as we get the dessert eaten. So if you want to just grab everything else off the table. Is Carlton Goodlett here? Somebody had told me that he might be here. Is Dr. Carlton Goodlett here? Let me make several announcements. When we finish with our luncheon today, the executive committee and the planning committee and anybody who would like to be on the executive committee from different cities, we would like for you to go to Glide Church and we will assemble there to talk about our region. Okay, here we go. Let me have your attention, please. Yeah, they're gonna make them be quiet. Waiter's gonna have to cool it too now. Let's have everybody's attention, please. Waiters and waitresses, could you all pick up and move for the time being? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Recently, Jan and I were in Washington, D.C., and we had been invited for some time to come over to Maya's home on the East Coast, and we worked out plans where we could go to her place. My God. First of all, we needed to go someplace where we could relax, rest. But secondly, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't know I was going to a mansion. My Angelou has more sitting rooms than any place I've ever seen. She's got the most beautiful artwork. She's got a tapestry that her good friend gave her. I ain't gonna tell you about the cost, just read Ebony magazine. We had a great experience, and Maya cooked. You don't go, I didn't expect that. And I'm gonna tell you what we had. She cooked some crackling bread, cornbread, that was, Lord, she don't know this, but early in the morning when we left, I put some of it in my bag. Black-eyed peas on rice. Lord have mercy. And the pot liquor just running through it like this, Oh, and the meat and the vegetable, just everything was all. And then she had the audacity to cook a cake. I mean, you don't just do all that. Well, she did. It was so good. But you see, that's just the character of this woman. She's so good. She's so good. She is, I've known her a long, long time. And she's been so good and is still so good. I remember one of the first times I saw her on television was over Channel 9, by the way. Of a series that you want to bring again on that. Yeah, all right. Put in the beard right now, see? During a series. And here is a woman. I said, my God, this is incredible. Identifying with her African American heritage. Here is a woman who did it long time ago. Long time ago, when most of us were still walking around biting our fingernails. Certainly didn't want to be called black or nothing else close to it. And here's a woman. A woman giving us some vision and leadership about being an African American. My answer. Here's a woman who was so good that she had the audacity to also do something that had not been done. She took a pen and began to script, to write her life story, and told the truth years ago before any of us were willing to tell the truth. Here's a woman, a pioneer, you hear me, who said to us, if you're going to tell it, tell the truth and tell it all. Didn't try to hide behind it. No, not this woman. And then she etched on that paper a script about plays and stories and films and poems. She even told us that there was a time that things would reach a point where we would have to say, and still I rise. No matter what still I rise. That's what this is all about, y'all, right here. You see? But not only that, she had the capacity. I don't know where she's got more gray matter in her brain than anyone, because what she does, you see, is she directs, produces, dances, and let's don't talk about talking. Don't pull on my coat. Leave it alone. Leave my coat alone. I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna take and yours. Yes, she said that hers. Since I am one of the co-chairs of this conference, if we go over time, it's all right. But here's a woman who took us on a journey and said to us, you have the opportunity. No matter how bad it gets, no matter where you've been, no matter what you've been through, you can keep on keeping on. Here is a woman who even today is still pioneering for us. Teacher, professor. What I'm gonna quit when I say that. I went down there in that room. She's got a special room down there, and Jen and I, that bed, first of all, that bed, I never slept in a bed like that before in my life. I hear about this high off the floor, you know. But before you get to that bedroom, look on her wall. Degree after degree after degree from every place. I mean, the little ones, the middle ones, and the big ones. I mean, she has more degrees than any person I know of. May I at this time bring to you Angelou, Dr. Maya Angelou. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my goodness.
Look where he brought us from. Look where he brought us from. Every one of us, each and every one, singly and together, look where he brought us from. Oh well, now look where he brought us from. Bid them in, bid them in. This is just a slave auction statement written by Oscar Brown Jr. Bid them in, bid them in, bid them in, bid them in, bid them in. That sun is hot and plenty bright. Let's get down to business and get home tonight. Bid them in. Bid them in, bid them in, get them in. Auctioning slaves is a real high art. Bring that young gal out here, Roy. She's good for a start. Bid them in, get them in. Now here's a real good buy at about 15. Her great-grandmammy was a die-homey queen. Look at her face, she sure ain't homely. Like Sheba in the Bible, she's black, but comely. Bid 'em in, get 'em in, look where he brought us from. Look where he brought us from. I'm going to start at 3. Can I hear 3 step up? Gents, take a good look, see? I know you'll want her. Once you see her, she's young and ripe and make a damn good breeder. Bid 'em in. She's good in the field. She can sew and cook. Strip her down, Roy, let the gentleman look. She's full up front. She's ample behind. Examine her teeth if you got a mind. And bid 'em in, get 'em in. Look where he brought us from. Huh? Look where he brought us from. And I hear a bid of 3. Can I hear 4? You know your money ain't earning you much in the banks. Turn her around, Roy, and let 'em look at her flanks. And bid 'em in, get 'em in, bid 'em in, bid 'em in. Now I'm hearing 4. Can I hear 450? Well, let me hear 450. Let me hear 5. Come on, gentlemen, look alive. Don't mind her tears, that's one of her tricks. Let me hear 5. Can I now hear 6? Bid 'em in, get 'em in, bid 'em in. Look where he brought us from. She's healthy and strong. She's well equipped. She'll make a good lady's maid when she's properly whipped. Bid 'em in, get 'em in, bid 'em in. 7, don't be slow. At 7 or 8, I'm going to let her go. I say 7, 7, 8, she's gone. Pull her down, Roy, and bring the next one on. And bid 'em in, get 'em in, bid 'em in. Look where he brought us from. Look where we've all come from. We've been walking in the darkness, now we're moving toward the light. Look where we've all come from. Thank you.
Yeah.
The honor you give to me to ask me to come and celebrate with us all as recovering people is so great. And that through my brother Cecil, you ask my son to honor me, and that he honors me by reading 2 of his wonderful pieces of poetry, which I so love and which are so close to the truth, so part of the truth. Almost more than I can quite bear. I have the public face which says, thank you, thank you. And that public face is the private face which also starts to weep as soon as I'm accepted. And when my grandson is there to meet me, my only fortunately, years ago when he was about to be born, I didn't want to become one of those terrible grandparents who would say, what a wonderful, brilliant, and why, and all, and become boring to people who listen, and lie and all that. Fortunately for me, he was born, I didn't have to lie. He is brilliant and wonderful. So that flying across the country from about 1 o'clock this morning, California time, that I knew I was coming to you, that we would celebrate recovery, that my brother and sister friends are here, Christina and Jan and Cecil, and that my son and my grandson would be here. And all of you would be here to celebrate our recovery, made me endure, I'm sorry to say, what was an exciting flight. I really always want a boring flight. You know, I want people to ask me when I get off the plane, how was the flight? I want to say boring. Unfortunately, I had 2 exciting flights. But at the end of it, I have come here to you to celebrate our recovery and to know that despite the terror, the horror, the displacement, the dislocation, the pain, the fear, in fact, the absolute horror of being addicted to something or another, that somehow we are brought through. We are brought through. Imagine that. I can't believe it. Somehow. I know I don't have to remind you, but I will. The first Africans were brought to this country in 1619. Now, to my white brothers and sisters in the audience, I do not mean to cast aspersions, and especially those who are from the sort of New England states and who hold great put great store in the fact that they are some of the first families of so-and-so. But those first Africans were brought here in 1619. I don't mean to signify, but that was 1 year before the Mayflower docked. We have experienced conditions too bizarre to even be included in Mr. Alex Haley's phenomenon, the book Roots, or in the television phenomenon Roots, in which I played Kunta Kinte's grandmother. Could not be included. Too bizarre. Whoever wants to talk about having taken the bones of slaves out of slave graveyards to make buttons for shirts? We cannot even describe the horrors that only the black Americans have been through. Not alone the poor whites have been through. Serious. Not alone the Asians have been through, coming here to claim what Miss Hong Kingston called Gold Mountain. Not alone those horrors that Native Americans have gone through, and people from South America and from Mexico. But somehow, having endured all of that, still we rise. I can't believe it. Each of us awakens, arises, uses whatever ablutions, makes whatever ablutions he or she wanted to make, and then sees another human being and say, "Morning, how are you doing?" "Fine, thank you, and you?" I can't stand it. Somehow, therein lies our nobleness. Somehow, people who actually lived in Bergen-Belsen, lived in Dachau, somehow those who survived as human beings. I can't believe it. Now, if we can do this, if we as Jews, as I am, if we as Arabs, as I am, if we as Mexican Americans, as I am, if we as Japanese, as I am, and Black Americans and Haitians, as I am, if we can endure all these things in ensemble, as races, as people, when we look at ourselves assaulted by the chemicals, at some point we have to say, look where he brought us from. You see now? If an entire army has been focused upon the destruction of a people, and that people still says, well, I think I'm going to get on up and I'm going to keep on going and I'm going to see him and I'll be up here tomorrow. And good morning, how you fine? Thank you. I am sure that too often we take the survival for granted. And in a strange way, it may be all right if we really understand how we're taking it for granted. If we take the survival for granted in the way that I must survive, I can survive. Those have survived before me, undertaking and underliving and underbearing and undertaking and dying almost under pressures I have no idea that even existed. And they have survived before me, so it may be all right if I kind of take it for granted that I'll survive. And hey, look where he brought me from. It is a wonderful statement. I give it to you, I share it with you, I use it for myself all the time. Let me just tell you this one poem. And one morning, while in the woods, I stumbled suddenly upon the thing. Stumbled upon it in a grassy clearing, guarded by scaly oaks and elms, and the sooty details of the scene rose, thrusting themselves between the world and me. There was a design of white bones slumbering forgottenly upon a cushion of ashes, and there was a charred stump pointing it's a blunt finger accusingly at the sky. There were torn tree limbs, tiny veins of burnt leaves. There was a scorched coil of grassy hemp, a vacant shoe, an empty tie, a torn shirt, and a pair of trousers stiff with black blood. And upon the trampled grass, there were buttons, dead matches, cigar butts and cigarettes. There were peanut shells, a drained gin flask, and a whore's lipstick. And then there were scattered traces of tar, and there was a restless array of feathers, and the lingering smell of gasoline. And through this morning air, the sun poured yellow surprise into the eyes of a stony skull. And while I stood there, my mind was frozen with pity, with a cold pity for the life that was gone. And then the ground gripped my feet. My heart was circled with icy walls of fear. The sun died in the sky. A night wind muttered in the grass and fumbled the leaves in the trees. And the woods poured forth the hungry yelping of hounds. Darkness screamed with thirsty voices, and the witnesses rose and they lived. The dry bones stirred and rattled and stirred and lifted and melted themselves into my bones. The gray ashes formed themselves firm and black and entered into my flesh. And the gin flask began to pass from hand to hand, from mouth to mouth, and cigars and cigarette butts glowed, and the whore smeared lipstick red on her lips, and 1,000 faces swirled around me, clamoring that my life be burned. And then they had me, and they stripped me, battering my teeth into my mouth until I swallowed my own blood. My voice was drowned in the roar of their voices, and my black, wet body slipped and rolled in their hands as they bound me to the sapling, and my skin clung to the bubbling hot tar falling from me in limp patches, and I moaned in my agony, and then my blood was cooled cooled, mercifully cooled by a baptism of gas and baptism of gasoline and baptism of red and fear and pain, and I leaped to the sky. Pain rose around me like water, boiling my limbs, panting, begging. I clutched childlike to the sides of death. And now I am dry bones, and my face is a stony skull, staring in yellow surprise at the sky. It's Mr. Richard Wright. Young men and women, I take the not really responsibility so much as the license to talk to you as your mother. It is my delight to have lived so far upon this earth into my 6th decade. When I see you and sense you stumbling along, thinking that no one cares for you, and so you must reach out and identify yourselves with something which really cares for you, cares to own you, to eat you up, to swallow you down whole, to shit you out, so that you no longer exist. And those who have really loved you before no longer exist, then I feel myself safe to tell you, you have been loved. Before any of these chemicals, you have been loved. People have cared for you. People whose names you will never know. People who had no chance of ever knowing your faces or what personalities you would develop or what ideas you would dream of, cared for you. Somebody said, well, I will stand on this auction block. Yeah, I'll stand it. I'll take it. I'll get up before sunrise and get down after sunset. Yeah, I'll take it. Somebody is yet to come. Someone is yet to come. You are the people who are yet to come. You are those people. You have already been paid for. It is imperative that you know it. Whether your ancestors came from Ireland trying to escape the potato blight of 1849, whether they came from Asia in the 1840s in an attempt to reach Gold Mountain, build the railroads and this country, unable legally to bring their mates for 7, 8 decades, whether they came from Eastern Europe trying to escape the pogroms, arriving at Ellis Island, having their names changed to something absolutely unpronounceable. Whether they came from South America, Mexico, coming to this country hoping to make a better place for their progeny and all the progenies. Whether they came from Africa, lying spoon fashion in the filthy hatches of slave ships, they have already paid for you. It is important that you know that. Know that. Whether you have anyone in your immediate family or not with whom you can identify, know that somebody in your family has paid for you. You have been loved. You have already been loved. Now you may not see evidence of it in your everyday life in San Francisco or in Chicago or in St. Louis or even in Greensboro, Winston-Salem or Los Angeles and Atlanta. But please know, go inside yourselves and find the truth, not necessarily the facts. Facts can obscure the truth. Go to the truth of it. The truth is, if you hadn't been already paid for, you wouldn't even be here. I know that you know that everything costs everything all the time. All the time. It costs to fail. It costs not to fail. It costs to be mediocre. Whatever that is, I don't know what that is. I really don't. Because that's one man's success and another woman's idea of success or failure. I don't know what that means. But I mean every level of your lives has already been paid for, and it will cost you again. It will cost. So knowing that, then, it seems to me you have a very simple charge upon you. If you are black or white or Native American, Spanish speaking, Asian, if you happen to be Aleut, if you happen to be gay, straight, whatever that means, I never know any of these things. I mean, you know, because too many times there are value judgments allied with those words. I don't mean it, but whatever the inheritance or your choices are, please start off knowing you have already been paid for and you're going to pay for it again. Understand? Understand that. And then you don't have to be angry at anybody. Use that energy in the most positive way possible. Please use it. Understand that these singers, the musicians, were telling us, I've been blessed. Whatever the circumstance, I'm here. I have been blessed already. Now, starting from that position, I take all the rest of my stuff with me. Here I go. I think that it is imperative for us today, in this age, in this conference, at this edge of the conference, to understand that this conference goes on. It doesn't end today. This is very important. But Reverend Williams told you about coming down to Winston-Salem. He came and Janice came, and I invited some preachers, my preacher, my pastor. I'm a member of Mount Zion Baptist Church, and I sure appreciate it. Thank you. In Winston-Salem. Now, also I'm a member of Glide Memorial. So suddenly I had both my pastors in my house, and I had invited a lot of other preachers. There was one who was a fool. I'll come to that in a minute. And then I invited a number of poets and folks who talk about poetry and teach poetry to meet Janice Midikitani, because she's one of America's treasures. She is a great poet, this woman here. And so I invited them. Well, it's so I told people, do come. Oh, as we say in the South, y'all come. All y'all try hard and come. So they all tried hard and they came. And everything was going along pretty well until one of the preachers, this is terrible, but it's true. One of the preachers who had never been in my house before, and I now understand why, turned to somebody in my house and said, one of the things you white folks don't understand. I said, oh, oops. I made my way over and I said, excuse me, Reverend, but nobody broke in. everybody in this house was invited. I mean, try hard and watch him out. He kept on, is it true? Yeah. He kept on, and he used the word nigger. So I said, sir, let me explain something to you. That word was poison when it was created. He said, I can say it. I said, no, not in my home. You cannot use it, because I don't believe that taking poison out of a jar which says poison with a skull and bones on it and pouring that content into Bavarian crystal changes the content. I don't care who says it. I will not have it spoken to me, about any of my people. It certainly will not happen in my home. And sir, you are absolutely wrong. He said, here are these people who were there. He said, well, so you're going to tell me how to talk in your home. This is where my face starts to burn. I used a word usually used to describe, by very coarse people, to describe certain parts of evacuation of cows and so forth. Male cows, male bulls. And now, mind you, the house was filled with preachers. On top of that, my two preachers, the one on the East Coast and the one on the West Coast, and I used this word, I said, oh, and I said it out loud. Now, I kept on talking. The next day I said to my sister, I said, sister, maybe nobody heard it. She said, sister, the way you speak. She said, everybody, the way you enunciate. They could spell it. I think somehow that when we are looking at this conference, we must see how it continues. That's a bad, maybe not a bad story, but on Easter Sunday, my sister and friends of mine and some people who are quite famous who had come down to visit me went to the sunrise ceremony. And one of the preachers who had been there at the ceremony, at our party, got up. He was the guest preacher, Reverend Mendez. And he got up and said, Reverend Cecil Williams was recently in our town, and he spoke about the crack cocaine epidemic which has attacked our country in general and our people in particular. And this is the message I have to give today. The men and women will survive when they understand they are worthy of surviving. Now that was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and that's a part of this conference. So I say to you, my brothers and sisters, since life is our most precious gift, and since as far as we can be absolutely certain, it is given to us to live but once, absolutely certain, let us so live we will not regret years of useless virtue and inertia and timidity and apathy and ignorance and depending on someone else. Let us say, I, for myself, with my appreciation of myself, the God self given to me, and God, choose to make my way in this life free. Free. It is a fantastic idea. I'm not going to take too long, but it is, thank you, it is a fantastic idea that people have who say, I want to be free. Can you imagine? I want to be free. It's usually said superficially. You have to pay for freedom. Paid all the time. Freedom costs eternal vigilance. Constantly to be alert. That's what it costs. Now what people may mean is, I don't want the burden. They don't mean they want freedom. There's a world of difference. It's like people who say, I want change. They don't want change. What they want is exchange. They want what that person's got. They don't want to, really change. Everybody change. No. Give me what you got. So to think about freedom, and if you really want it, here is one Zen story, perfect story about freedom. A person went to a master, a Zen master, and said, Master, I want to know the truth. Master said, very good. Okay, he said, and I've come to you because you're the person who can really teach me the truth. Master said, very good. Move into my home. The fellow was so happy. He moved into the master's home. Master said the next day, who are you? He said, I'm the one who wanted freedom. He said, oh, that's right, you want truth. He said, all right, go out into the forest and cut trees. So the guy said, boy, that's great. All I got to do is go. He cut trees, came home that night. Nobody said anything. It was some food. He went to sleep. He got up the next morning, went out, cut trees, 3 days, 4 weeks, 2 months, a year and a half. Nobody said anything to him. At the end, he came to the master. He said, Master, look, I came to you to learn the truth, and you haven't told. I've been cutting. Master said, that's right, you're the one. He said, okay, you know all those trees I asked you to cut? Go out there and burn them for charcoal. He said, oh, thank you very much. Boy, am I okay now. He went out, he burned them all day, the next day, 4 weeks, 6 months, 2. At a year and a half, he came back, he said, Master, I have been with you 3 years. I came to you, I told you I wanted truth. You told me to go and cut trees. I cut them, and then I went and burned them. I'm leaving you. Goodbye. The master said, I'll walk with you away. So the man walked, and the master walked with him. They got to a bridge where there was rushing water. The master knocked him into the water. The fellow went down once. He said, I can't swim. The master said, no. I can't swim. The third time, the master grabbed him and pulled him up. He said, now, when you want truth, as much as you wanted that mouthful and throat full and lungs full of air, you've already got it. When you want liberation, when you want it, you have got it. Not say you want it, not tell everybody because it looks good, I really want it. But when you want it, so much so that you want it more than anything else in the world, as much as you would want that breath of air kept from you, you have got it. It takes a lot of courage to live. It doesn't take maybe so much to exist. But to live. To live as black men, as white men, as black women, as white women, as Asian women, Asian men, Spanish-speaking men, Spanish-speaking women, Native American women, Native American men, to live as a gay person, to live, not exist, to live as a straight person, to live fully and take responsibility for the time you take up and the space you occupy. It takes a lot of courage. And I will say this and then I will leave. Since courage, to me, as I see it, it is the most important of all the virtues. Because without courage, you cannot practice any other virtue with consistency. You can't be consistently fair, consistently kind, consistently generous, consistently just without courage. You can be just or kind or generous, but then suddenly life will slam you against the wall, and whatever that virtue is you had on you will fall off strips faster than a stripper will lose a G-string. But with courage, always praying for and working for and developing courage, and understand that it always starts at home. Always for yourself. Courage, please, courage. I encourage you myself. I send you my strongest thoughts to my brother and sister, to my son and my grand, to all my friends and sisters, Christina, wherever you are in the house, to my sisters and brothers in this place, and to the singers, to the Glide Ensemble, who were singing. You all were singing today now. You may laugh and joke, but today you all were singing. Amen. But to all of you, I encourage you toward courage. And I would just tell you one beautiful little African statement. It's worth writing down.